So, very good morning to all my dear students. I welcome you all into the Industrial Pharmacy 2. So, we are on to the technology transfer, in which we are studying the WHO guidelines. The WHO guidelines, these are covered under all these headings, subheadings, among which in our previous lectures we had covered the introduction, the introductory guidelines, the guidelines related with the scope, and the guidelines related with the terminology in the form of the glossary. So most of the terms which already we had covered, few of the left, these are validation and in relation to the validation. So what the validation is? The action of proving and documenting that any process, procedure or method actually and consistently leads to the expected results. What is the validation? Validation, it is an act, it is an action of proving and documenting that processes and procedures along with the method, these are actually and consistently leading to the expected result. Whatever the result we are expecting, according to that we are getting the result. That is nothing but the validation. There is another term which is said to be the VMP. This VMP is nothing but the validation master plan, a high level document. What is the validation master plan? It is the high level document that establishes an umbrella validation plan for the entire project and summarizes the manufacturer's overall philosophy and approach to be used for establishing performance adequacy. Now, to get the desired performance, there is a validation master plan, and it is the high level, it is the topmost one, and it is the result of the manufacturer's philosophy. It provides information on the manufacturer's validation work program and defines details of and timescales for the validation work. How much time is required in order to produce a particular product, or how much time should be taken by a particular process, that is mentioned in the VMP. For the validation work to be performed, including a statement of the responsibilities of those implementing the plan. The people who are implementing the plan, let us say for example managers at the managerial level, so they and their responsibilities, that is clearly mentioned into the validation master plan. Validation protocol, this is said to be the plan, or this is said to be the VP. VP is the validation protocol, a document describing the activities to be performed in a validation, including the acceptance criteria for the approval of manufacturing process or a part thereof for the routine use. That is said to be the protocol, that is said to be the set steps, that is said to be the set procedure, that is said to be the set guidelines. What is it? It is the VP, it is the validation protocol. Validation report, a document in which the records, results, and evaluation of a completed validation program are assembled and summarized. It may also contain proposals for the improvement of processes and or equipment. That is the report, VR, validation report. So all these are the necessary instructions, all these are the necessary terms, all these are the glossaries that are used in case of technology transfer. Now let's come to the next aspect, that is the organization and the management. And what the WHO gives guideline related with the organization and the management, that we have to see in terms of organization and management guidelines. So it is 4 and related with the 4.1, 4.2 and likewise. So the 4.1, what the guideline says, the transfer comprises an SU, it is sending unit, and an RU, receiving unit. In some circumstances, there may be an additional unit which will be responsible for directing, managing, and approving the transfer. In addition to SU and RU, there is a unit which is said to be the MU, that is the managing unit. Now, what it will do, it will direct, manage, and approve the process of transfer from one side to the another side. There is a formal agreement between the parties. There is an agreement between the different side parties which specifies the responsibilities before, during, and after the process of transfer. So the organization and management, it should include the agreement between the two parties. Organization and management of a successful technology transfer needs to ensure that the main steps have been executed and documented as described in section 1.6. Yes, in the introductory session, we had covered this 1.6 section. There should be a project management plan which identifies and controls all the necessary activities identified at the site of undertaking. What we require? We require the plan. What we require? We require the project management plan. Now the 4.5 guideline, it tells that the transfer protocol should list the intended sequential stages of the transfer. So in this and next slide, we will going to see that what are these stages, what are these sequential steps. Now the protocol that should include what? The very first, it should include the objective of transfer, it should include the scope of transfer, it should include the key personnel and their responsibilities, a parallel comparison of materials, methods and equipment, the transfer stages with documented evidence that each critical stage has been satisfactorily accomplished before the next commences. Once the first step that will over, the next step has to be started. Identification of critical control points, experimental design, and acceptance criteria for analytical methods. Information on trial production batches, qualification batches, and process validation. Change control for any process deviations encountered, assessment of end product, arrangement for keeping retention samples of active ingredients, intermediates, and finished product, and information on reference substances where applicable. And last one is the conclusion. The conclusion including sign-off approval by the project manager. So all these are the steps that are included into this organization and the management protocol. So 4.6, it tells that the sending unit should provide the necessary validation documentation for the process and its support functions. Usually an established process is transferred and such documentation is already available. If anything which is already proven, that is said to be the established processes. So established processes that will give the predictable result, that will ensures the proven steps and everything that will remain into record, that is the documented. The sending unit should provide criteria and information on hazards and critical steps associated with the product, process, and method to be transferred to serve as a basis for the quality risk management exercise at the receiving unit. Anything if it has to be transferred, so all the hazard related issues, all the critical steps associated with the product, process, method, that should be transferred. So the receiving party that should come to know that, let us say for example, if it is the ether is highly flammable, so that should be kept away from the fire, right? So that the risk that can be reduced. And these these records, they will act as a basis for managing the risk. The sending unit or third party should assess the suitability and degree of preparedness of the receiving unit before transfer with regard to its premises, equipment, and support services. If any technology has to be transferred, one should ensure that everything which is needed in order to implement that protocol, that technology that is in existence, that is fulfilled in terms of premises, equipment, and the support services, like say the purchasing, inventory control mechanism, QC, quality control procedures, documentation, computer validation, site validation, equipment qualification, and water for the pharmaceutical production and the waste management. Waste management, again, it will be given due significance same as like that of the production, because during production, if anything, any say hazardous materials that are going to be released into the environment, so that will be given due attention. It should not affect the environment. They should be properly treated. They should be properly management. So there should have the waste management. The sending unit and the receiving unit should jointly verify that the following satisfactorily completed validation protocols are available. So what should be ensured? The sending unit and receiving unit, they should jointly verify. They should jointly verify. That means it is the responsibility of both sending unit as well as the receiving unit. Related with what? Related with the all validation protocols. Now, what these validation protocols are there? The installation qualification and the operational qualification data for manufacturing and packaging equipment at the receiving site and analytical equipment. That is the first one. The second, the qualification of the rooms for both manufacture, packaging, and the receiving unit site. That is in terms of its specifications are concerned. The sending unit and the receiving unit should jointly implement any training programs that may be required specific to the product process method to be transferred, for example, on analytical methods or equipment usage, and assess training outcomes. So both these, they should arrange the training program to the personnel who are handling the different process methods and the steps associated with the product. The sending unit and the receiving unit should jointly execute the transfer protocol according to the checklist. Every one is responsible. Sending unit is also same responsible. Receiving unit is also same responsible. So jointly they should execute the transfer protocol according to the checklist and or flow diagram showing the sequence of steps to be carried out to effect an efficient transfer. In order to ensure the efficient transfer process, there is a need to share the responsibilities. Any changes and adaptations made during the course of the technology transfer should be fully documented. The things which has been transferred from sending unit to the receiving unit, if receiving unit want to modify, alter, or make certain changes, so that should be kept on record that these are done by the receiving unit and not received by the from the sending unit. So there should have the proper documentation and record. The sending unit and the receiving unit should jointly document the execution of the transfer protocol in a transfer of technology summary in a report. There are few guidelines associated with the project team that are 4.14 onward in case of organization and management. Now, what these guideline tells, the project team related guideline, that is 4.14 guideline, it tells that any transfer project will be managed by a team comprising members with clearly defined key responsibilities. There should have a team, there should have a group of people who are said to be the project team, and it is the responsibility of this project team. The team should be drawn from members of relevant disciplines, both from sending unit and the receiving unit side. So the people, the members from the relevant disciplines, they should become or they should be the part of this project team. The team members should have the necessary qualifications and experience to manage their particular aspects of the transfer. So all these are the guidelines that are associated with the organization and the management. Now next, there are guidelines given by the WHO that are related with the processing, packaging and the cleaning, which are said to be the production transfer guidelines. So that is number 5, production transfer guideline related with the processing, packaging and the cleaning. So the guidelines that are related with the 5.1 and onward, and the guideline will says that the receiving unit should be able to accommodate the intended production capacity. Now, whatever the capacity, whatever the requirement are there, that the receiving unit should fulfill all these. If possible, it should be established at the outset whether the intention is to perform single batch manufacture, continuous production, or campaigns based on the requirement, either single batch or continuous, or sometime for specific reasons as a campaigning. The batch, the packaging, the processes, and the manufacturing along with the cleaning need to be carried out. Consideration should be given to the level and depth of detail to be transferred to support production and any further process developing and optimization at the receiving unit and intended under the transfer project plan. Consideration should be given to the technical expertise, site technology, and site capabilities for the receiving unit. It should be identified upfront by the sending unit of any process shop robustness issues so that plans may be put in plan at the receiving unit. The sending unit and the receiving unit should jointly develop a protocol for the transfer of relevant information related to the process under consideration from the sending unit to the receiving unit, as well as the development of a comparable process at the receiving unit. There are certain guidelines which are in association with the starting material. So the specifications and the relevant function characteristics of the starting material, that is APIs and the excipients to be used at the receiving unit, should be consistent with materials used at the sending unit. The same kind of excipients, there should not have any kind of alteration, there should not have any kind of substitution. The ingredient in terms of their use, in terms of their quantities, in terms of the ingredients which are used at sending unit, the same ingredient in the same quantity they should be used at the receiving unit. Any properties which are likely to include the process or product should be identified and characterized. Active pharmaceutical ingredients. The sending unit should provide the receiving unit with the open applicants part of the API master file or drug master file or active substance master file ASMF or equivalent information and any relevant additional information on the API of importance for the manufacture of the pharmaceutical product. The following are examples of the information which may typically be provided. However, the information needed in each specific case should be assessed using the principles of the quality risk management. Everything related with the API, everything related with the excipients, in terms of all kinds of documentations, in terms of all kind of master file, in terms of all kinds of the ASMF, that is the active substance master file, all that should be transferred, all that should be provided by sending unit to that of the receiving unit in terms of in order to reduce the risk. That is said to be the quality risk management. The principles has to be clearly understood and they should be given due topmost significance. What are these principles? These principles are related with manufacturers and associated supply chain. Let us say, for example, API, from whom we are making inventory of an API, from whom we are making an inventory of excipients, from whom we are making an inventory of colorants, and rest all additives and the excipients. Steps of the API to be transferred. The flowchart of the synthesis pathway, if there is a synthesis in it, or if that is the bulk drug manufacturer, then in that processes, all the steps that are related in case of the synthesis that should be provided. Outlining the process, including entry points for raw materials, critical steps, process controls, and intermediates. Everything that is needed to be provided. Where relevant, definitive physical form of the API, including photomicrographs and other relevant data, and any polymorphic and solvent forms. All these need to be provided. The solubility profile. What is the solubility of the particular API? If relevant, the pH in solution. What is the pH is required for the solution in order to make it effective and stable? Partition coefficient, including the method of determination. Which method we are using? Whether we are using the traditional method of the flask method, shake flask method, or any other else sophisticated technique. If it is there, that should be noted, that should be provided. Intrinsic dissolution rate, including the method of determination. Particle size and distribution, including the method of determination. The bulk physical properties, including data on bulk and cap density, surface area, and porosity as appropriate, that should be provided. Water content and determination of hygroscopicity, including water activity data and spatial handling requirements. The microbiological considerations, if the product is sensitive to the attack of microorganisms, if it is from the biological substances, including sterility, bacterial endotoxins, and bioburden levels, where the API supports microbiological growth in accordance with national, regional, or international pharmacopoeial requirements. Specifications and justification for release and end of life limits. Summary of stability studies conducted in conformity with current guidelines, including conclusions and recommendations on retest date. List of potential and observed synthetic impurities with data to support proposed specifications and typically observed levels. Information on degradants with a list of potential and observed degradation product and data to support proposed specifications and typically observed levels. If any degradation is occurring, the details related with that should be provided. Potency factor, indicating observed purity and justification for any recommended adjustments to the input quantity of API for product manufacturing, providing example calculations, and the special considerations with implications for storage and or handling, including but not limited to safety and environmental factors as specified in material safety data sheet, MSDS, material safety data sheets, and sensitivity to heat, light, or moisture. So all these are few of the guidelines that are related with the process, packaging, and the cleaning. Now the guide related with the API. Now the guidelines which are given that are associated with that of the excipients in the production transfer related with the processing, packaging, and the cleaning. So the guideline that will start from the 5.7, the 5.7, it will explain that the excipient to be used have a potential impact on the final product. Let's say, for example, if we are using the coloring agent, it should have its impact. It should impart the color. If we are using sweetening agent, it should have impact. It should give the sweet taste. Likewise, if we are using binder, if we are using disintegrant, if we are using lubricant, if we are using gradient, if you are using the anti-adherent, they should have their effect onto the final product in order to improve their quality or the purpose for which they are intended. Their specifications and relevant functional characteristics should therefore be made available by the sending unit for the transfer to the receiving unit site. The following are examples of the information which may typically be provided. However, the information needed in each specific case should be assessed using the principles of the quality risk management. The manufacturer and associated supply chain, description of functionality with justification and inclusion of any antioxidant, preservatives, or any excipient, definitive form, particularly for solid and inhaled dosage forms, solubility profile, particularly for inhaled and the transdermal dosage forms, partition coefficient, including the method of determination for transdermal dosage forms, intrinsic dissolution rate, including the method of determination for transdermal dosage form. If it is solid, inhaled, and the transdermal dosage form, in case of all these, the particle size distribution, including the method of determination, that should be provided. If it is for the solid and the inhaled dosage form, the bulk physical properties, including data on bulk and trap density, surface area, and porosity as appropriate, may be provided. If it is the solid dosage form, the compaction properties should be provided. If it is the semi-solid and the topical dosage form, the melting point ranges that need to be provided. For parenteral semi-solid, topical, liquid, and the transmural dosage forms, the pH range is needed. For parenteral dosage form, the ionic strength is required. For parenteral semi-solid, topical, liquid, and transmural dosage form, the specific density and gravity is required. If it is the parenteral semi-solid, topical, liquid, and the transdermal dosage form, the viscosity and other viscoelasticity parameters are provided. If it is the parenteral dosage form, the osmolarity that is needed to be provided. For solid and inhaled dosage forms, water content and determination of hygroscopicity, including water activity data and spatial handling requirements are needed. If it is parenteral semi-solid or topical, liquid, and transdermal dosage form, the moisture content range are required. Now, if the dosage form, these are say like which will have the sterility or the bacterial endotoxin, the microbiological considerations like say the sterility, bacterial endotoxin, bioburden levels, where the excipients support the microbiological growth in accordance with national, regional, and international pharmacopoeial requirement as applicable for general and the specific monogram. They need to be provided. So all these are as per the specifications. All these are as per the what to say that the pharmacopoeias, that is the official books, that is the standard books. Then there is a need to provide specifications and justification for release and end of life limits. The information on adhesives supporting compliance with peel, shear, and adhesion design criteria that is needed to be provided if it is for the transdermal dosage form. Now, special considerations with applications for storage or handling, including but not limited to safety and environmental factors as specified in the material safety datasheets (MSDS), and sensitivity to heat, light, and the moisture. And the regulatory considerations, let us say for example, the documentation to support compliance with transmissible animal spongiform encephalopathy certification requirement wherever these are applicable. So all these, they need to be provided in case of the transfer technology protocol in terms of processing, packaging, and the cleaning related with that of the excipients. Now there are certain guidelines that are associated with the information on process and the finished pharmaceutical product information. Now what these are and all that we will see in our next lecture.